for the purpose of communication, we are going to use the computer. So by making use of these computers, we can take the online attendance. All the transaction will be turned into digital media. Meeting scheduling has to be happen. Everything will be stored in the computer system regarding audit. Hello everyone, welcome to the last session on overview of a computer. Myself Rohini TS, lecturer in computer science, Vidhyaashram Pre-University College, Mysuru. So before getting into the today's session, let me have a recap of previous session. So in the last session, I had a discussion regarding classification of the computer. So in this, you have to consider how we classify the computer, whether it is based on the special purpose or whether it is based on the general purpose or based on the manufacturer or based on the operation that it will going to perform. So these are the points that you have to keep it in mind. Then what we are going to discuss in today's session? So in this session, I am going to discuss about applications of computer. So what does this application means? That is the field where we are going to use the computer system. I have listed out some of the applications of a computer, that is the field where we are going to use the computer in order to reduce the human effort and in order to reduce the complexity of our life. That means we are going to get the beneficiary from the computer system. Then here we have several sectors or several fields where I can use computer. That is schools and colleges. I am going to use the computers in schools and colleges, and then we can also use the computers in bank sector, then office, then stock control in business firm, stock exchange, and for research and development purpose, along with the entertainment, that is most important part, that is entertainment purpose, and the news, for the news. And then we are going to use the computers in government office or a government sectors. So then satellite communication, the main thing, that is communication. For the purpose of communication, we are going to use the computer. Then for publishing, then travel, tours and travels, and then computer aided manufacturing, that is CAM. So at last we can also use the computers in hospital. So let me get into the first application of a computer, that is schools and colleges. So if I consider schools and colleges, then there will be students and lecturers, every faculty will be there, right? So in order to maintain their information, in order to have the information regarding the students, information regarding the lecturer, and information regarding the institution, I can also maintain the record by making use of this computer. And we can also use the computers in order to creation of the school ID. So for each student, we are supposed to give the school ID or unique ID. In order to prepare all those things, we can also use the computers, and we can also use the computer for creation of the marks card. So that is important thing. So by that use, we can also create a marks card. And for the attendance, so now all the institutions have initiated to take the online classes. So by making use of these computers, we can take the online attendance. So we can take online attendance. So and we can also use the computers for learning with the subjects with audio and videos. What they meant here, that means due to this pandemic and all, most of the colleges and schools has been started online classes. So for that, we are supposed to send the videos and audios to the students. That will be more interactive than the static classes, right? For that purpose also, we can also use the computer system, and you can also use the computers in order to work with your assignments. If the computer is connected to the internet, then you can also use your computer in order to get to know the answer for the assignment, and you can also watch the YouTube videos and all for the learning purpose. So this is how can I use the computers in the field of schools and colleges. So mainly for the educational purpose, we can use the computers. So then what is the next application? That is banks. So when it comes to the bank, earlier it was in the record of the books. That means all the transaction will be recorded and maintained in the book. But when the computers era started, at that time all the transaction will be turned into digital media. All the transaction will be turned in from the books of record to digital media. So how can I use the computers in banking sector? So in order for the creation of an account, so if the customer or a user gone to the bank, then we can also create their bank account by making use of this computer, and every transaction will be recorded by the help of this computer, and all the transaction, then we can also transfer the money. So that is e-banking. So with the help of that e-banking communication application, I can also transfer the funds. So we can also generate alert messages. When we withdraw the money by making use of the ATM, we are instantly going to get an alert message. If someone tried to open, or if someone tried to hack your ATM card and all, at that time also we are going to get the notification. So this can be done with the help of this computer system. And transaction messages, how much money you have transferred, how many credited, how much credited and debited, everything will be, you are going to get the message. So then use of banking with ATM card, and we can also use the computer for online banking also. So each bank has its own online portal. With the help of that portal, we can also communicate, or we can also do the transaction. This is how can I use the computers in the banking sector. I can create an account, I can transfer the fund, and I can have the alert message. Then we are going to get the transaction message, and we can also use the banking with the help of this ATM card, and then we can also work with online banking. So these are all the applications. That is how we can going to use the computers in banking. So what is the next application of computer? That is offices. How we are going to use the application of computer in the office sector? That is, there will be employees. In order to store and in order to record the details of employee, we can use the computers, right? And along with that, we can use computer will be used in the documentation of the transaction, which will going to occur in the daily basis. So all the transaction record will be stored in the computer system. So computer has a huge capacity to hold the large data. So in order to maintain all the transaction of the daily events, we can go with computers. Along with the money transfer, is there any transaction takes place? Is there any scheduling? That means meeting scheduling has to be happen. Everything will be stored in the computer system. Regarding audit, and if any client meeting is there, everything will be stored under the computer system. And we can also have the payroll for the employee. Then fund transaction can also be happened with the help of this computer. So with the help of this computer, we can also use the computer systems in the office sectors in order to get the beneficiary of the computer system. Let me move on to the next one, that is stock control in business firm. So stock control in business firm. So business in the sense what? There will be a transaction and buying and selling of the goods will be there. So with regards to that, so this computer can be used in the shops and business for the stock account. For example, if you are working with, or if you are going with the online shopping, at the time what you are going to get? You are going to get what are the limited stock and what are the availability of the goods and all. Every data will be stored in the computer system. So we can make our transactions, and it will make the communication easier. So it can be used in the shops and business for the stock account. So it will going to hold the details about number of goods and number of stocks. Everything will be stored under the computer system. Then money transaction along with the shipping of the item and the quantity, price, quality and expiry date, everything will be stored in the computer system. If I purchase or if I have any of the goods item in the sense, it will going to have its expiry date and manufacture date along with its price and quality. Every data will be stored in the computer system. So this is how we can use the computers with regards to stock control in the business firm. So the next application of a computer system is stock exchange. So if you want to perform or if you want to have a transaction of buying and selling of a goods or a stocks, that will going to take place online. Okay, no need to go anywhere. By sitting at a one place, we can also have the transaction of selling and buying of a stocks can be takes place. That is with the help of this computer system this will going to happen. So then what is the next application of computer? That is research and development. So the main area of a application of a computer is research and development with regards to the scientific research and development. Just imagine how much cost it will take in order to manufacture or in order to develop any of the rocket. So instead of creating it or manufacturing it physically, I can have the virtual look of that rocket instead of creating it physically. Okay, so by making use of that virtual view, I can get into that rocket and I can perform some of the operation on it. So that is what they are saying here. The new inventions are designed and implemented with the animated virtual view. So it will going to have the animated virtual view, so that will realize that will made me to feel like we are in the real world. So instead of creating the original one, we are going to have the virtual view with the scientific and mathematical equation in the labs. By making use of this mathematical and scientific calculation and all, I can also have the virtual view with regards to the scientific and research. Then with the help of this computers and models are implemented in the real world, which saves the time, resource, money, etc. So as I told earlier, we are going to create one prototype. That means that is dummy model. Instead of creating a original one, we are going to create the dummy model or a prototype. So that will also saves the time, that will also saves the money, and that will also saves the effort of a human. So it will going to give me the virtual view instead of creating a new one or a original one. So if there any failures occurs to that virtual one, so that doesn't affect on the effort or a time or a money. So if it is the original one, that will be costlier. So in order to reduce all those complexity, we can use the computer systems in research and development purpose. The next application of a computer is entertainment and news. So entertainment in the sense what? So we can also use the computer system for watching movies and listening to the music, and I can also use the computer in order to play the games or online games, and I can also mix the sounds. That means for the creativity purpose, we can also use the computers, and I can also merge the images. I can do some editing on the images, and I can have edited videos and all. So we can also work on the cloning of pictures, and we can also work with animated games. We can also use the computer for animated games and also to play the games and listening to the music, and for the news or lives and immediate. So when it comes to the news, at that time we can also watch the online news. So we can also have the instant communication. So instant information will be reach us by making use of this computer. So this is how we can use the computers for the purpose of entertainment and news. It must be like both informative along with the entertainment purpose. So this is how we can use the computer for entertainment purpose along with the news, or for the communication and for the informative things to get to know. So we can also use the computer. Then next is government offices. We can also use the computers in government sector. How the computer is useful in the government sector? If there any transaction takes place in the government sector, all the transaction will be recorded in the computers, and details and payroll of each employee, everything will be carried in the computer system. So when it comes to the government sector or a government office, each government sector has its own website. So that website and its transaction, every data will be stored in the computer system. So all the transaction of the government law and informations are being obtained in the website of the government. So we can get to know the details of any of the government sector by visiting its portal or by visiting its website. So this will be helpful for us in order to reduce the complexity, and it will also enhance the performance of each government sector, and we will get to know the information of each government sector instantly. So this is how the computers will be helpful when it comes to the government sector or offices. The next application of a computer is satellite communication. With regards to the application of satellite communication, so the computers plays a major role for the communication. The data and information, everything will be stored in the satellite. How can I communicate? So that too with the help of this satellite. So with the help of this satellite, the communications are made available to the entire world. So with the help of this satellite communication, we can have the transaction of the information between one to others. So then what are the applications that I can work with? That is, we can browse. So we can browse the data and we can get the information instantly. I can surfing. Surfing means random usage of the internet for not for the specific purpose. I am going to surf or I am going to access the data and information in a random manner. So without any purpose, I am just going inside the computer networks or I'm going to use the internet. So then for the chatting purpose and for the email, then messaging and online gaming can be takes place with the help of this satellite communication. So in order to perform all these things, we require computers. So this is the place where the computers plays a major role. The next application of computer is publishing. So what do you mean by publishing here? Reaching out the mass people. So that means what? The process of reaching out, or it will going to make the work available to the large number of people or in a mass. That must be that work whatever going to happen or did, that must be reached to the public. That process is known as publishing. Then how can I use this publishing as an application of the computer? How can I use the computer for publishing? So let me have a look. The process of making a works available to the public. So whatever the work has been done, so that must reach to the public. So by making use of the social media, we can get the instant messages or we can get the instant information, right? So by making use of that technology, we can have the publishing in a large amount. So that it includes books, magazines and newspaper and then music, film and videos. So when it comes to all these mediums, so the main reason or the main agenda is to communication purpose. It has to reach the public. That is the main usage. By making use of this communicator, the transaction of the information is more easier, and that is also improves the efficiency of everything. So that with the help of this e-books, so instead of taking a physical book, we can also have the virtual view of that book, and magazines, newspaper, all the online newspapers are available. We can get to know the information instantly without taking a physical newspaper or a hard copy of the newspaper. We can get to know the information instantly. This is all through by making use of the computer along with the internet service. The next application of a computer is travel. So nowadays everything is online. Every transaction will going to take place online. If you want to book a ticket for anywhere, you can go with online. So that it will makes the life easier and we can get the beneficiary thing by making use of the computer system. The next application of a computer is computer aided manufacturing, that is CAM. So where we are going to use this CAM methodology? So this methodology is used by the variety of industries which includes oil drilling, power generation, food production and automobile manufacturing. So these are the field where we are going to use the CAM methodology. That means instead of creating heavy hardware devices, we are going to have the virtual view. So if that gets succeed, then we are going to develop that one. So we can walk in through that virtual view. So we can get to know how it will going to work when it is developed physically. So that is the main advantage of using this computer aided manufacturing. So it includes the fields or industries like oil drilling along with the food manufacturing, then power generation, then automobile manufacturing. So these are the field where the CAM can be used. With the help of computers, it will going to happen. So then what is the next application? That is hospital. So due to this pandemic and all, we are all familiar with the hospital along with the computer usage, that is bioinformatics. That is a combination of the computers along with the biology. That means by making use of that concept, we can also use the computers in hospitals. So why we are going to use the computers in hospital? Mainly to store the details or information regarding the patients, and it will going to hold the information of a doctor, and it will also going to store the patient details. Along with that, it will help in the diagnostics, that is MICR and scanning. So as I told earlier, it will be a like bioinformatics, that is combination of biology along with a computer science, so that for the medication purpose and history of the patients, everything will be maintained in the computer system. So when the patient visits next time, at that time we are going to retrieve the details which is already existed in the computer system. So, and for the purpose of labs and all, we are going to use the computers in medical field also. So these are all the applications of a computer system. So by summarizing all the applications of a computer, so here you can see that these are all the applications or a field where we are going to use the computer system, and it is also important for 5-mark question. It is also important for 5 marks question. By concluding this, we are at the end of this first chapter, that is overview of a computer system. So in this chapter, for 1 marks, you have to concentrate on the expansions. You have to concentrate on the expansion along with the definitions, and you have to work on the important questions of this chapter. So it's all about today's session along with the first chapter of your computer science first year PUC. I'm going to meet you in the next session with a new chapter. Until that, keep learning, keep on growing. Thank you very much.